Shalom, shalom, shalom. First, let's give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada, and double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who are leading this word in truth and spirit and sincerity. And salutations to all the righteous brothers on the highways and byways and its different streaming platforms that are bringing out the word in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, in truth and in spirit and sincerity. Shalom Akayam, Shalom. As you can see, today's edification is called Prophecy Unfolding. Turkey. Turkey's heading for a confrontation with its NATO allies. Heading for a major confrontation with its NATO allies, Turkey is. So, just to give you a little what this is about, this is Ezekiel 38 unfolding in front of your eyes. People ask this question all the time. Turkey is a member of NATO allies, and they want to know, how does Turkey then become part of the allies that the Russians are going to put together to go to war against NATO and America, and America's the head of NATO? People always ask that question. How is it that Turkey ends up on the sides of the Russians, which is Gog and Magog, right? In Ezekiel 38, Gog and Magog are the Russians that are going to put a band of nations together to go to war against NATO. And the head of NATO is the Americans. So the $6 million question people keep on asking, then how does Turkey become part of that band? Because Turkey is a member of NATO. It's a NATO ally. How does Turkey, and I've been telling you that things have been heating up with Turkey over the last 12 months and they're getting even more sticky. How does Turkey become a part of this group of people here? Because Turkey, remember, Turkey, the land that Turkey occupies today is called Togarmah and Gomer. The land that Russia occupies today is called Magog and Gog, also known as Meshech and Tubal, right? The USSR. So that's the question. That's a $6 million question that people keep on asking. How does Turkey become a part of these nations here that the Russians are going to put together to go to war against NATO and its American allies? Or should I say America and its NATO allies? Well, Turkey lately has been pricking NATO and the European Union in such a way that the European Union have basically turned around to Turkey and said they've had enough. Now, I'm going to play you a short, for those of you that may or may not know what's going on right now. Turkey is this close to going to war with Greece. Greece is a NATO ally, just like how Turkey is a NATO ally, except Greece is a member of the European Union, whereas Turkey is not a member of the European Union, but Turkey is a NATO ally. So how does Turkey become part of this, what they call this ragbag group that's going to go to war against America and NATO? Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you, boy. I'm going to show you. Turkey's pushing. He's pushing it. And this is what's going on right now. Listen carefully to what's going on. This all happened yesterday. All right? Many of you may not know this. Some of you may know this is going on. But this happened yesterday. So listen carefully.
The East Mediterranean conflict is blowing up. President Erdogan is ready to go to war with Greece, defying European Union's ultimatum, all for oil. For weeks, the two countries have been carrying out military drills in the disputed waters. Both are calling up their allies, and France is openly backing Greece, ready to deliver Rafale fighter jets to combat Turkey's F-16s. The standoff has pushed Europe into firefighting mode. Neither Turkey nor Greece is ready to back off at the moment.
Turkey is saying to Greece, we have you in our sights. The Eastern Mediterranean conflict has escalated to the skies. The Ionian Sea is now a scene of war, with naval frigates, submarines, and the sonic boom of fighter jets. In the guise of military drills, Turkey and Greece are confronting each other. But what are they fighting over? Oil and gas reserves in the eastern Mediterranean seas. 1.7 billion barrels of oil, 3.5 trillion cubic meters of gas. It's a pot of gold, but in disputed waters. It was Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan who started the conflict. Sent a research vessel accompanied by warships to look for oil. Erdogan is challenging maps that were drawn nearly 100 years ago. Erdogan first roped in Libya, signing a deal to start drilling. That angered Egypt. Greece said it won't allow Turkey to drill. Erdogan says it is Turkey's right to do so.
Şu anda Akdeniz'de ve mücavirinde.
Can those who are standing before us in the Mediterranean and its adjacent areas face up to the sacrifice? Do the Greek people accept what will happen to them because of their greedy and deficient administrators?
Siz yöneticileri yüzünden.
It is a clash of NATO allies. Both Turkey and Greece are part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Europe has pressed the panic button. France, Italy and Cyprus have joined the Greek fleet. Europe is backing Greece, asking Erdogan to show restraint.
The ministers were very clear and determined to show EU solidarity with its two affected member states, namely Cyprus and Greece, and they were very clear in their call on Turkish authorities to end any unilateral activities which are escalating tensions in the Mediterranean, and the ministers and the EU are very clear in preferring dialogue.
Turkey has long wanted to join the EU, but this rush to lay siege to the oil wells is backfiring. Instead of membership, Turkey may get sanctions. The Netherlands and Austria, among the richest EU members, are for it. The EU is stressing on dialogue, but is also open to sanction Turkey. That will cut off Ankara's access to European ports, European capacities, and European technology. Germany, the mediator in this case, is asking Turkey and Greece to halt naval exercises. Germany has an obligation to both the countries. As the president of the EU Council, it owes its power to Greece. But with 3 million citizens of Turkish origin, attacking Erdogan may cause unrest at home. Germany's foreign minister Heiko Maas says he is paying attention to every little spark that can lead to a catastrophe. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
So he said he's watching every little thing that can lead to a catastrophe, right? The German foreign minister. So, like I said, some of you may know what's going on. Some of you may not know what's going on in Turkey. Turkey is a NATO ally. Let me just read this from the this is from the New York Times, all right? Yesterday, from the New York Times. Not yesterday, Saturday, from the New York Times, all right? And this is what they headlined it. There's a new Game of Thrones in the Mediterranean, all right? There's a new Game of Thrones in the Mediterranean. This is what they're calling it, all right? For those of you that are familiar with Game of Thrones, the show that was on TV, this is what they're depicting it as, a new Game of Thrones. Now, this is what they wrote. It says, as if there wasn't enough trouble around the world, two NATO allies, Greece and Turkey, have lit up a new and dangerous crisis, dragging in countries near and far, right? In this Game of Thrones, only Germany seems to have the sway to mediate a return to sanity, all right? It says at the core of the crisis, as in so many other dangerous squabbles around the globe, is energy, right? Specifically, the rich gas deposits discovered over the past decade under the Eastern Mediterranean. This is what they're fighting over. Greece claims that its many islands in the region give it sole drilling rights in the waters around them, a stance broadly supported by international law. But Turkey, feeling hemmed in, says otherwise, and it has sent ships accompanied by warships to explore for gas off Cyprus. It says feuds between Greece and Turkey are hardly new. What complicates this one is that the gas reserves are also being eyed by many other countries. Remember what I've always telling you now, World War III is going to happen over trade and resources. That's what's going to ignite World War III, trade and resources. These countries are going to go to war over trade and the natural resources that are out there, all right? It says, in principle, the vast reserves, right, which is the gas and the oil, should bring those countries together to tap and share the riches of their shores, right? In fact, most of the countries, including Greece, Cyprus, Israel, Egypt, Italy, Jordan, and even the Palestinians have done just that. It says Turkey, however, has found itself excluded, in parts because of Greece's territorial claims and in part because Turkey's authoritarian president Recep Tayyip Erdogan has antagonized many of his allies and friends with aggressive behavior in Syria, Libya, and at home. He's been antagonizing his NATO allies. Believe me when I tell you, this is how Turkey is going to be expelled out of NATO. It's going to be kicked out of NATO. Turkey has been antagonizing its allies for the last 12 months, just so you understand. Vigorously antagonizing them. And 3-4 months ago, the European Union wanted to kick them out then, wanted to suspend Turkey from NATO. All right? So Turkey has continued. This is just another flashpoint in what Turkey is doing to antagonize its fellow NATO allies. So at some point, they're going to expel Turkey out of NATO. And this is how Turkey is going to go on the sides of the Russians in World War III. So this is what you've got to look out for. When Turkey gets expelled out of NATO, believe me when I tell you, we're going to be so much closer to World War III kicking off. So much closer. Because Turkey has to be outside of NATO to join forces with the Russians, which is Gog and Magog, when they go to war against NATO, America and its NATO allies. Anyway, let's continue reading. It says, further complicating matters is that Turkey is a member of NATO, but not of the European Union. You understand? It's a member of NATO, but not of the European Union, Turkey. Cyprus is a member of the European Union, but not NATO. Cyprus is an island that is being under dispute between Turkey and Greece for the last 50 years. Half of the island is Turkish and the other half is Greek. All right? So Cyprus is a member of the European Union, but not a member of NATO. All right? It says, and Greece is a member of both. So Greece is a member of NATO and the European Union, whereas Turkey is only a member of NATO, but not the European Union. So it says here, it says, and Greece is a member of both, creating overlapping and conflicting loyalties amongst the NATO allies. Because once you get two NATO allies that are going to go war against each other, they're going to have to take sides, right? They're going to have to decide whose side they're going to go on, and whichever side the NATO allies decide which one they go on will cause the other one to be expelled from NATO, just so you understand. It's, and then there's the fact that Cyprus is divided into a Greek south, which is what I just said, and a Turkish north, because the island of Cyprus is divided between the Turks and the Greeks, and that sits in between Greece and Turkey. So it says, although nobody except Turkey recognizes the Turkish part as a separate state, right? Gets gritty, boy. It says, an attempt by Germany to unite this Gordian knot foundered when Greece announced an energy deal with Egypt that effectively claimed rights to a broad area of the sea, which it did in response to a similar accord between Turkey and Libya. Turkey soon, because remember, Libya is one of the allies of Gog and Magog. We're going to show you in Ezekiel 38 that the Russians are going to bring together. Libya is another one of the allies, along with the Persians, right, which are the Iranians. It's all tapping out. It's all unfolding in front of our eyes, people. It's all unfolding. It says Turkey soon started exploring again. Its operations monitored by a Greek naval frigate, right, which is a Greek naval warship. On August the 12th, the Greek warship managed to collide with a Turkish warship, and things quickly heated up. France, already furious at Turkey, because remember, France is a NATO ally, just like Turkey, but France is already furious at Turkey over its support of the faction in Libya that France doesn't support, right? Because Turkey's on the side of the government of the recognized UN government in Libya, while France is on the side of the warlord general. I think his name is Hatif or Harif, whatever his name is. That's France is on their side. So it says anyway. It says here, Turkey, over its support to the faction of Libya that France doesn't support, briefly sent in a couple of fighter jets and warships. So it says here, France. We'll just read it again. France, already furious at Turkey over its support of the faction in Libya that France doesn't support, briefly sent in a couple of fighter jets and warships, listen carefully, and it's currently holding military exercises with Greece, Cyprus and Italy to deter further exploration by Turkey. Greece announced a demonstrative extension of its territorial waters of its western coast to 12 miles, in effect warning Turkey that it could do the same in the Aegean Sea on the eastern side, that's a move that Turkey would not tolerate. It says, what is peculiar in this crisis is that the competition for fossil fuels should have given way by now to competition over how to stop using them, because they keep talking about environmentalists going green, but it's not going to happen. The next war, World War III, is going to be over fossil fuel resources and trade. Trust me when I tell you, that's what the war is going to ignite. That's what's going to ignite World War III. It says, what is particular in the crisis is that the competition for fossil fuels should have given way by now to competition over how to stop using them, especially among countries that have subscribed to the Paris Climate Agreement, right? Besides, with the slowdown in the global economy from its coronavirus pandemic and the resulting drop in energy prices, Europe has plenty of gas. It also seems bizarre for Mediterranean and European countries to be plunged into extraneous tensions when there are so many serious crises to keep them busy, including the economy, the pandemic, the political suspense in the United States, the street clashes in Belarus, and Russia's threat to intervene in Belarus, right? All these things that are going on around the world. It says, in an earlier era, the United States would have stepped in to separate the feuding NATO partners, as it did when Greece and Turkey almost went to war in 1996. President Trump did make a call to Mr. Erdogan, urging him to negotiate, but that had no effect. The United States under Trump's administration is not regarded as a viable go-between, especially with Mr. Trump in campaign mode. Britain too has retreated from the European affairs now. Remember, the United Kingdom, we've come out of the European Union, right? So Britain too has retreated from the European affairs now that it is out of the European Union. The Union also lacks leverage over Turkey since it has become evident that Turkey under Mr. Erdogan, despite its status as a candidate for membership, has no chance of joining the European Union. So this is what's going on right now. Ezekiel 38, believe me when I tell you, is unfolding in front of your eyes. Preparations are being made right now because the prophecy says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, which is Russia. Right? The land of Gog and Magog is what we know as Russia today. All right? Gog, Magog, Rosh, that's Russia today. All right? Mishesh, this is all the Soviet Union, what we know as Soviet Union today. All right? It says here, and thus says the Lord Power Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshesh and Tubal. All right, the chief prince of Meshesh and Tubal. All right, Meshesh, Tubal. This is Russia, what we know as the Soviet Union. We know it's broken up now, but it was the USSR, the United States of the Soviet Republic. All right, that's what it was known as. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them together, clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So the Lord said he's going to turn Russia back, to bring together, to turn them back into the Middle East, to pull together a great army, legion and allies of countries and armies. And part of those countries and armies that Russia is going to gather together to go to war against NATO and America in the Middle East, in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, in the place that is prophesied in Joel 3 or 2, these are the nations that Russia are going to bring together. Persia, which is what we know today as Iran. Ethiopia is what we know today as Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea. All of that would have been known as Ethiopia. That would be Kush, all right? One of Ham's sons. Libya, all right? That's still known as Libya today. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. So all of their armies and their soldiers and their military are going to join together with the Russians. The Iranians, the Ethiopians, Eritreans, the Somalians, which is Ethiopia, and the Libyans, all right? It says also Gomer and all his bands and the house of Togarmah. That's Turkey. Gomer and all his bands and the house of Togarmah is Turkey. So I go back to what I said at the beginning. The $6 million question is, how does Turkey become part of an allegiance and alliance with Russia and all of these other countries, Iran and Ethiopia and Libya, if today, as we are speaking today, Turkey is still a member of the NATO? How does Turkey go to war against NATO if it's still a member? Because what you're seeing happening today, the antics that Turkey have been up to over the last 12, 18 months, have antagonized nearly every member of the NATO allies. This seems to be like the final straw for them. Turkey flexing its muscle against Greece, which is a fellow NATO member, to explore the Mediterranean Sea in search of resources, gas and oil, that the Greeks say it's their part of their territorial waters, and Turkey have said no, it's part of our territorial waters. And Turkey have saying, we don't give a shit about the accord that was signed like 100 years ago that separated the islands and everything. And because I don't know if we go to the Mediterranean. Oops. If we go to the Mediterranean Sea, 1 second, people. Yes. If we go to the Mediterranean Sea, just so that you can understand, I just want to quickly show you so you can see what we're talking about. You can get that visual image, right? So this is the Mediterranean Sea. So let's just show you, probably here's a good map to show you. So this is the Mediterranean Sea. These are the little Greek islands that you see in green where it says Sea of Crete. That's a Greek island. That Cyprus is the island that's split between Turkey and Greece. Half of it is Turkish, the other half is Greece. So this is where this been going on. This is where the Turkey has found oil and gas reserves that's beyond anyone's imagination, apparently, what they found there, right? So Greece is saying, no, we ain't got a claim to this sea because it's 12 miles out from our islands, like the Sea of Crete. They've got little islands in the Mediterranean Sea. This is why Greece is claiming it. And Turkey is saying, no, it's our territory, all right? So this is where they're squabbling over whose claim it is to the oil and gas that's been found in the Mediterranean Sea. Turkey is saying it's theirs, Greece is saying it's theirs, all right? So this is where they're at. So Turkey at this moment as we speak is still a member of NATO. Now, I say again, the $6 billion question is, how does Turkey become an ally to the Russians and the Iranians and Ethiopians that's going to come up against America and NATO in the Valley of Jehoshaphat for the war that's coming, World War III, where it's going to happen? How is it going to happen? Is it because of things like this? Turkey has been poking the eagle. I won't say the bear because the bear is the Russians, right? Turkey has been poking the beast, which is the European Union, and America has been poking the beast, and this is their last straw. Because today, on the news, today is September the 1st, the European Union are looking now to put sanctions on Turkey for its antics that it's doing in drilling for oil and gas in the Mediterranean Sea. So, I believe that they've had enough now. Like I said, Turkey have been pushing the beast for the last 18 months by intervening in Syria and Libya and all these places that the European Union and NATO keep saying they should keep their noses out of it, and Turkey is saying, no, it's nothing to do with you, don't tell us what to do, So, this seems to be the last straw to me. This could be the thing that causes Turkey to be expelled out of the European Union, which from that point onwards, knowing Erdogan is like Trump, he's a very proud man. He'll tell them, F off, we don't want you, we don't need to be a member of NATO because we've got I think the second or the third biggest army in NATO behind the Americans, and I think maybe the second biggest army behind the Americans amongst the NATO allies. I think Turkey is the second biggest army in NATO behind the American army. And I believe, because he's such a proud man, Erdogan, that he'll put two fingers up to the European Union and NATO if they go ahead with their sanctions and expel Turkey from it. But this is the thing. I believe this is the straw that's going to break the camel's back, that's going to cause Turkey to be expelled. But as you can see, these things have been causing so much tension that this is how Turkey will become allies with the Russians and the Iranians and the Ethiopians and the Libyans in that war of Armageddon. So when it says here, Ezekiel 38:6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, all of the Turkish army, and many people with thee, it says, be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. Because all of these nations are going to be assembled unto Gog and Magog, which is the Russians, all right? They're all going to be assembled unto the Russians, right? Magog, Rosh, and Gog, Persia, Iran, Kush is Somalia, Ethiopia, all right? And Eritrea, and that's Kush. When it says Ethiopia, Put is what we know today as Libya. All of these countries that the prophecy speaks about in Ezekiel 38 are going to be allied with the Russians in the war against the Americans and NATO. And it says, and after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, which is what we're in now. We are in the latter years now. And thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, because they're going to go to war. Like I said, something's going to happen in the middle. And remember as well, Israel has just signed an agreement with the UAE, United Arab Emirates, to start having normal relations with the UAE. And all of the other Arab countries have put up their nose against what the UAE has done. Because now, the UAE now, Israel had its first flight from Israel to the UAE in something like 50 years. They had a commercial flight that went to them. So remember, this is where the war is going to take place, you know. It's going to take place here. They're going to come against Israel. So Israel has made an agreement with Greece to, as you can see, that's the Mediterranean Sea. Greece is up there to the left of Turkey. Israel has also made agreements with Greece to do with getting the resources of gas and oil that's just been found in the Mediterranean Sea. Israel is on the side of Greece. So something's going to cause it. I believe it's going to be trade and resources. I may be wrong, but I believe it's going to be over resources and trade that's going to cause it. But what I do know, which I know I'm not wrong on, is that when this war of Armageddon kicks off, Turkey will no longer be a member of NATO. Turkey will no longer be a member of NATO when World War III kicks off. That I do know according to prophecy, because Turkey is going to be alongside Magog, Meshech, Tubal, Iran, which is Persia, Libya, over here, Ethiopia. They're all going to be on the same side to go to war against NATO, headed by America and its allies, and Israel. And in this disagreement that's going on right now, Israel has taken sides with Greece because they've made a deal to extract the oil and gas out of the Mediterranean Sea between them. And Egypt has also taken the side of Greece alongside this. So things truly, when I tell you, things are truly hotting up, boy. We're truly getting closer and closer to this thing. And it says, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Excuse me, who are all thy bands? Remember, this prophecy has to come to pass. Turkey has to be on the side of the Russians in this war. So everything we see Turkey doing now, literally at the point of waging war with Greece, a fellow NATO member, tells me that Turkey's expulsion from the European Union is not too far off, which means World War III is not too far off, which means the mark of the beast is not too far off, going global. So remember in the book of Joel, right? We're going to go over some scriptures that we've gone over many times, but we're just going to bring it up for edification's sakes, right? Joel chapter... Oops. I was there. I don't know why I plucked it. It says here, for behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, which is the children of Israel, right? I will also gather all nations. These are the nations that the Lord is speaking about. Gog and Magog, right? These are the nations the Lord speaks about. Gog and Magog, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, Gomer and Togarmah against America and its NATO allies, against America and Israel and against their NATO allies, right? So, where are we? When it says, I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. As we know, that's here. That's the Middle East. This is where it's going to take place. World War III. And it says here, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations, which we know who those are, the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, those that descend from the transatlantic slave trade, Native American Indian tribes of North, South America and Canada, and the West Indies, today who they call Latinos, Hispanics, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, the indigenous people of those lands. Those are the Lord's heritage. And they have parted my land. And we know the land of Israel has been parted between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Between the Edomites and the Ishmaelites have parted the land of Israel. We know all of the armies are still gathered right now down in the Middle East. What we're waiting for is the spark. We're waiting for the straw that's going to break the camel's back. We're waiting for the spark that's going to kick it off. Right? I believe it's going to be through trade and resources. It could be through something that Israel does. Israel may go out and do something against Iran or against Turkey that all bets are off. I believe it's going to be ignited by trade and resources. The fighting over trade and resources. But it could be ignited by something else. But what you must understand is that it is going to happen. And all of the evidence of this war coming to play is playing out in front of your faces right as we speak, because the actions of what Turkey's doing with Greece tells me that they're not going to be in a member of the NATO allies for very much longer. Truly believe that. Keep your eye on that on the news. It says here, and they have cast lots of my people, as you know, and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink, which is slavery, and we know that. All right? So, and when we jump down and it says, Verse 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, right? Which are all the nations. All of the nations that are going to go to war against each other. Because we Israelites, we ain't got no power. We got no army. We got no nation. We're under the kosh. We're in captivity. Right? We've got Israelites that are part and members of other countries' armies and so forth. But as a nation, we just got to sit down and watch the show on the side. We're going to get our popcorn, sit in our seat, get our bottles of water, or whatever is your poison, and sit down, a bottle of beer or whatever, and we're going to watch this thing live. It's like the record says, the revolution shall be recorded, shall be televised, World War III shall be televised. Our job is to pray, to preach, to teach, and to wait patiently for our Saviour. We don't take no part in this war. Our fight is spiritual. This is Esau's fight with all of the nations. And the Lord is going to put the Spirit on the nations because the prophecy says so. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let them, all the men of war, draw near. Let them come up. And all the men of war are in the Middle East. And you're going to see more once we get closer to this war kicking off. Beat your plowshares into swords. This is what the nations are doing. Turkey is not talking about beating its swords into plowshares. Turkey has warned Greece and said, look, we're beating our plowshares into swords, mate. Turkey is not ramping. Remember what we said here, we read here in the New York Times. It's like a Game of Thrones in the Mediterranean, right? It says if there is enough trouble around the world, 2 NATO allies, Turkey and Greece, have lit up a new and dangerous crisis, dragging in countries near and far. You understand? This is like biblical scripture, right? In this Game of Thrones, only Germany seems to have the sway to mediate a return to sanity. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Near and far. Look, just like we read here. Let all proclaim this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men draw near. Let them come up. And they're literally writing the same thing. They're saying, look, they have lit up. It says Turkey and Greece have lit up a new dangerous crisis, dragging in countries near and far. Let all the mighty men draw near. And this is what's happening. All of the mighty men are drawing near. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones thither cause. I'm getting all excited here. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is what? Yahwadat, the valley of judgment. That's what the word Jehoshaphat means in the Hebrew. Yahwadat, the valley of judgment. For there will I sit to judge the heathen round about. So this incident that's going on between Turkey and Greece is just showing you how much closer we are to World War III. It says here, EU prepares sanctions. They're preparing sanctions on Turkey over militarized Mediterranean drilling. So the EU are preparing sanctions. It says, as we understood earlier, the East Mediterranean gas dispute involving Turkey and Greece along with Cyprus is fast becoming militarized. Despite Turkey defending that its interpretation of maritime boundaries is fully legitimate, the European Union has prepared sanctions against Turkey. It says we can go to the measures related to sectorial activities where the Turkish economy is related to the European economy. EU's top diplomat said during a conference, right? He threatened on Friday. Turkey has to abstain from unilateral actions. This is a basic element to allow the dialogue to advance. This is what the Joseph Borrell says, the top diplomat in the EU. He says he described punitive measures against targeting Turkey's ability to conduct hydrocarbon exploration in contested waters around Cyprus and near Greece's uttermost islands. And that's what we was looking at. Greece's uttermost islands are these ones here. The Sea of Crete, Greece, right? Got Cyprus, and there's lots of other little islands around it. This is what they're referring to. It says here, however, Borrell also, right, which is the top European diplomat, also emphasized the EU wouldn't pull the trigger just yet. Not just yet. They're not going to pull the trigger yet. Just yet. Opting to give a serious chance of dialogue, right? While pledging full political support to EU members, Greece and Cyprus. You see? Their full political support is to their fellow EU members, not to their fellow NATO members. Because Greece is a member of the EU and NATO, but Turkey is only a member of NATO. So they're gonna have to draw sides, right? They're gonna have to say, look, whose side we're on. And right now, the NATO allies, the European Union, have chosen the side of their fellow European Union country, Greece, and not their fellow NATO country, Turkey. It says, to be expected, Ankara fired back that the dispute, this is where we are, Ankara fired back that the dispute is beyond the EU scope or authority and that it has no business in Turkish affairs. Who? It is beyond the limits of the EU to criticise the hydrocarbon activities of our country within our own continental shelf and demand that we stop them, Turkish government spokesman Hami Askoy says. Meanwhile, occurring simultaneously to the EU sanctions deliberations at the end of this week, Turkish and Greek F-16 jets nearly exchanged fire off southwestern Cyprus in a dogfight of sorts. It says France, that's what happened yesterday, on Saturday. It says France and Italy have actually sent military frigates and fighter jets for Mediterranean war games with Greece this week. It says, no doubt it's all about a show of force and European unity in the face of Turkey's Ankara. In the face of Turkey, Ankara has sent military escorts to accompany its hydrocarbon exploration vessels in the meantime. So that's where we're at. So, how does Turkey become an ally of Gog and Magog? Well, let me tell you. This what we're seeing taking place right here is truly going to escalate matters to such a point that I truly believe that the European Union are going to turn around to Turkey and say, you know what, you're kicked out of NATO or you're suspended from NATO until we can resolve this matter. And Turkey, Erdogan is like Trump. He's a proud motherfucker. You're going to turn around and put two fingers up to them and say, you know what, you can stick NATO up your ass. We're going to go about our own business. But something has to happen that causes Turkey to be expelled from NATO to allow Turkey to become part of this merry band of men like Robin Hood, because they are Gomer and Togarmah, to join Magog and Gog and the Persians and the Ethiopians in that war of Armageddon. Because that's what Turkey is, Togarmah and Gomer. That's the lands that Turkey occupies. Just so you understand. That's the land that they occupy. So, it says here, Joel 3:12 says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come and get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. It says multitudes in the valley of decision. That's the valley of judgment, the valley of decisions. For the day of Yahweh is near, people, in the valley of decisions. The day of Yahweh is near. What is that day? That day is when World War III is going to kick off. It's near, people. And remember what I said to you, and I keep telling you this. World War III is going to start off as a conventional war, and then it's going to escalate to a nuclear war. So there'll be a lot of talking going to and fro, back and fro between the nations before it actually happens. Because remember, the mark of the beast has to be in play before the war kicks off. The mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, has to be in play globally before the actual war kicks off. And you can see with all what's going on is that these nations are preparing to push out this mark of the beast through the back door of using this coronavirus to say this is the reason why we have to microchip people because of the coronavirus. Right? Just so you know. So everything is in play for this war to take place. All of the dominoes are lining up in queue. I'm going to bring out a couple more precepts here before we shut this down. I just really wanted to focus on that today. Where do I want to go to? We got Matthew 24 is one. And a couple more precepts before we shut this down, people. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, I believe I want. says, woe unto thee, Babylon. 2 Ezra 16:1, right? Woe unto thee, Babylon, which is America and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack, and here bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. It is at hand, people. This war is at hand. It will start off as a conventional war, but then it will escalate to a nuclear war. This destruction, this judgment is at hand, whether you want to hear or forbid. And the more that I see going on in the news shows me that we are getting even closer. They keep talking about the vaccination, They want to, how they want to vaccinate everyone. There's just all of this noise. And then you've got the other noise of these nations falling out over trade and resources and rights and drilling rights and this and that. It's all happening, people. It's all happening. Remember what Habakkuk says, for the vision is for an appointed time. Although it tarry, it shall surely come. So the destruction is at hand. The destruction is the nuclear war. The war will start off as a conventional war, but will escalate to nuclear. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? No one can't turn it back. The Lord said in Ezekiel, he's turned back the Russians to bring them back into this thing. He says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesize against them. Meshech and Tubal, Gog and Magog, this is Russia. This is what they know as the USSR, the United States of the Soviet Republic, before it broke up. He says, and thus says the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, because he's bringing them in, he's joining them, and I will turn thee back. He's turning the Russians back into this war. He's bringing them back. He's bringing the Soviet Union, the Russia, to come back to be back to, he's turning them back to be like the old Soviet Union, that powerhouse that feared nobody. I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army and horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even great company with bucklers and shields, all of them. That's why Russia's been building up on all of its arms and nuclear weapons, and they are preparing for this war, people. Whether the Russian elites and the ruling elites know that it's prophecy that they can't not go into this war, it's all prophesized. That's another question for another day. But what I can tell you is that the Bible prophecy is unfolding in front of our eyes. So when we go back to 2 Ezra, it says here, a fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? So the plague they're fighting with now is what? The coronavirus. And you know this devil's going to give you a second dose of it. That's going to be worse than the first dose, because they need to implement the microchip, which will probably come as part of a worldwide global vaccination project. It says, may any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it has begun to burn. May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. That arrow that's going to be shot by the strong archer is going to be ICBMs. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? No one can. A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? No one's going to be able to quench this, what's coming. He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and shall not be utterly beaten to powder for at his presence. The earth quaketh, the foundations thereof, and the sea arises up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. For strong is the right hand that bendeth the bow, which is the nuclear weapons that's going to come from this war. His arrows that he may shooteth and sharp, and shall not miss. These nuclear weapons are guided missiles. They will not miss their target. And when they begin to shot, into where? Into the ends of the world. You can't fire a normal bow and arrow into the ends of the world, right? We can all agree with that, right? No one can't take a bow and arrow and fire it from one part of the world to the other. But what we know isn't they can fire from one end to the other is a nuclear missile, ICBM. Remember, that's what. Remember what a stolen nuclear weapon is called, you know. This is what they call it, right? Broken arrow, right? What is meant by broken arrow? The military used the term broken arrow to describe an incident in which a nuclear weapon, hear that, is lost, stolen, or inadvertently detonated. I say again, What is meant by a broken arrow? The military uses the term broken arrow to describe any incident in which a nuclear weapon, which is an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, is lost, stolen, or inadvertently detonated. So when you're detonating a nuclear weapon, you're firing it somewhere. I mean, you can detonate a nuclear weapon sitting down in a standstill position, right? But you ain't gonna want to be nowhere near it. But most of the time they'll be fired from silos or from ships or from battery rams, what they call them, those things that fire missiles from, those that drive on the back of trucks and that. That's a broken arrow. You think, listen, you really think when the Lord is calling these things arrows that he's not talking about missiles? When he says the earth quaketh and the foundations thereof, the sea arises up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also, and the Lord, and also before the glory of his power. For strong is the right hand that bendeth the bow. Right? The bow is the silos that it's going to come out of. His arrows, those are the broken arrows, people. That he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss, because they are what? They are guided missiles. It says when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. Those plagues that are going to come from those nuclear missiles are what, people? We all know this. Radiation, pollution, the fire that's coming from it, the wind and the destruction when it hits. There's going to be so much devastation. But I say again, the war is going to start as a conventional war. Drones, tanks, soldiers, armored vehicles, and then it's going to escalate into a nuclear war. It's just that all of the people need to be in there. It's like a chess game. You know when you get a game of chess and you've got the black side and the white side, right? That's Esau war, right? You've got the black side and the white side, right? And you've got the pawns. Everyone's in their position. All of the nations need to be in their positions and ready for this war. So Turkey needs to be in the position of being outside of NATO to be able to be in the position of joining the Russians and their allies to fight against NATO and their allies. So everyone needs to be in their position before the war starts. So it says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out. Because no one can't put out a nuclear fire. There's no fire truck. They tried that once with Chernobyl, when they sent all those firemen in to try to put out the fire when Chernobyl, when the nuclear reactor exploded, not realizing that they didn't tell them that it was a nuclear reactor, and once it exploded, it was emitting so much radiation, it killed nearly every single fireman that came to try to put out that fire in Chernobyl. They actually came with their fire trucks and their water hoses to put out. It was a nuclear plant. It was a what do you call it? A reactor, a nuclear reactor, and they all died from it. And that was just a nuclear reactor. So this fire that's kindled, which is a nuclear war, can't be put out and shall not be put out till it what? Till it consume the foundation of the earth. That's what it's going to do, people. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer, returneth not backward. So it's comparing it. The Lord is comparing these nuclear missiles to an arrow. He's showing you, he's saying, look, this is like an arrow which is shot from a mighty archer and returneth not backwards, right? Even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Now, we call ourselves what people? The hopeful elect. So who will deliver us if we make it into those chariots when these missiles are shot off during World War III? It's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and the angels. Because at some point, the Lord is going to appear with the angels to deliver the elect during World War III. That's why it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? What days are that? Those are the days of Armageddon, the days of the war of the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the days of World War III, the days of the nuclear war. Who's going to deliver me? It's going to be what? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginnings of famine and great death, the beginnings of wars, people, and the powers shall stand in fear. Why? because it's going to start as a conventional war and escalate to a nuclear. That's why the powers are going to stand in fear. The beginnings of evils. What shall I do when those evils come? I mean, I can go on Ezra 2nd, Ezra 16. We can go on all day long. It's a beautiful one to read. But this is a prophecy about the war of Armageddon, the war in the valley of Jehoshaphat. This is what it's speaking of. And the last precept I'm going to quickly pull up here. Was it Matthew 24? I was going to look at Matthew 24, and he says it right here. 24 and 24, I want. 24 and 29. So I'm going to get straight to the point. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, right? The tribulations is a destruction, World War III. And the moon shall not give her light, right? That's World War III. The moon's not going to give her light because of the mushroom clouds. Nuclear bombs are going to be fired from one part of the earth, just like it says here, what we just read in 2nd Ezra. The arrows are going to be shot. Where was it? What verse was he? When it says here, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, which are the silos. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, which are the ICBMs, the nuclear missiles, and they shall not miss because they are guided missiles. When they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. So Matthew's telling you here, mate, immediately after the tribulation of those days, which is World War III, when the nuclear war kicks off, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. The stars that are falling from heaven are the nuclear missiles that are going to be fired from Russia to America, from America to Russia, Russia to Europe, from Europe to Russia. Everywhere that's involved in this war, they're going to be firing nuclear weapons on and retaliate. Those are the stars that are going to be falling from heaven, are the nuclear missiles. And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. That's what's going to shake the place. And then, this is the good news, people. This is what you want to hear, right? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. That's when Yahushua is going to come. Just like I said, during World War III, Yahushua is going to come to deliver the elect of Israel. The 1/3, the 144,000, the 12,000 from each tribe, and the 1/3. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Everyone's going to scream through wrath. This shit that we've been teaching has been the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They're going to be screaming like fuck. Excuse my language. For those that know about our teachings, and for those that were still got their heads stuck between their asses in those Christian churches and Catholic churches, right? And for those that have been worshipping all of those heathen other religions like Islam and Hindu and Sikh, they're going to be mourning, people. The tribes of the earth, which are the nations of the earth, shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man, Yahushai, coming in the clouds, coming in his chariot, people. Coming in his chariot. We speak about this all the time, right? In the clouds of heaven, which are the chariots of heaven, with what? With power and great glory. Because he's going to have Michael with him. He's going to have Ariel, Gabriel, Uriel, all of the archangels, and all of the legions and legions and legions of angels in their own chariots, following the Lord's chariot, Yahushai, which is going to be the biggest chariot of them all. They're going to mourn. They're truly going to mourn. He says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall what? Gather together his elect. Elect, elect, elect. I can't say enough. The 144,000 and the 1/3, the chosen. Not everyone of Israel or anyone that believes in their Lord. Only the elect. The elect are the 144,000, the 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, and then the 1/3 of the nation of Israel that are going to survive this destruction, that are going to be delivered. The 2/3 of our people are going to die during the destruction. He's going to gather his elect from where? From the four winds, which are the four corners of the earth. From one end of heaven to the other. It's a simple, this ain't no rocket science, you know. If you can't see this, you're not meant to see this. If you don't understand this, what we are teaching, this prophecy, the breaking down of these scriptures, what we have did today, then you're not meant to see the breakdown. You're not meant to understand it. Your lot is already chosen. If you're of Israel, your lot is to be destroyed if you don't understand this. And if you're not of Israel, and you understand this, then you can't receive salvation. You may survive the destruction and go into captivity, but you can't receive salvation. You're not going to be up on those ships alongside the elect and the 144,000 getting immortality, spiritual powers, and your crown. You won't be on that ship. If you're of the heathen nations, you're going to have to, and you believe this, and you are actual heathen, you're not an Israelite, you can't receive salvation. You may survive the destruction, but you cannot go up into the Lord's chambers. And the Lord said he's going to gather us in his chambers. Let me just quickly bring it up. Always come to mind. Is it Isaiah 34? Why does... stop it. Why does it do this? The Lord keeps putting scriptures in my mind. Why is it Isaiah 34 I want? Let me just see. Isaiah 34. That's it. Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. Maybe I've gone too far. Hold on, let me just type it in. We can finish there. Where is it? I know it's Isaiah, man. Jeremiah. Where are you? Sorry. Isaiah 26. Sorry. I went too far. So it says here, Isaiah 26 and 20. It says, "Come, my people, which are the elect of Israel. Enter thou into thy chambers." Those chambers are the chariots of the Lord. All right. "And shut thy doors about thee." All right. That's why. Remember when the Lord says, Lord, hold on. Don't want to have to search for it. And he says here, "22. Yeah. And he says here, when he says, "Many will say on that day," right? Many are going to say on that day, when those chariots appear, "Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in the name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity." And then there's another one I'm thinking of as well. It's in Matthew. I think it's Matthew's 10. Hold on. It's another one I'm thinking of as well. Yep, Matthew's 25. This is what I'm thinking of. This is actually what I was actually thinking of. It says, Matthew 25 and 11. 25 and 11. It says, "Afterward came also the other virgins," right? Which are those that thought they were being taught the truth, but are still part of the churches, learning Christianity and Catholicism, Pentecostal and Jehovah's Witness and Seventh-day Adventists. Those are the other virgins, right? I don't want to have to go through all of this. You can read this chapter yourself, right? It says, "Afterwards came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us," right? What they want to open is the chariots, the doors of the chariots, right? But he answered and said, "Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh," right? I think I should have went up a verse. Let me go to verse 9. It says, "But the wise answered, saying," right? "Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you." Check up a verse. Yeah, that's right. That's right here. It says, "But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell and buy it for yourselves." So those are the other virgins that wasn't accepting this truth, was demonizing us, that still, and those are of Israelites. Those are the 2/3, right? Those are the other virgins that this parable is speaking of, right? And we're saying to them, you need to go and find your teachers now, because you rejected this word that we taught, right? So we said, "Go rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves." And while they went to buy, so while they went to find this truth, so they can get into the chariots, the bridegroom, which is Yahushua, came. And they that were ready went in with him. Who are those that are ready? Those of you that accepted this truth. Those of you that repented and came back to following the laws and commandments and statutes to the best of your ability, because we know we cannot follow all the laws, commandments and statutes while we're in captivity. And we also know by just following the laws, commandments and statutes will not deliver you salvation. It's all about faith. Did you truly believe in this word that we were teaching from the beginning? All right? It says, and while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready, those of you that were ready, those are the ones that accepted this truth, they repented, following the Lord's commandments to the best of their ability, and continued learning and teaching, and praying, waiting for the deliverance of Yahushua. All right? They that were ready went in with him to the marriage. Right? That's to the chariots. That's the marriage. That's the deliverance, salvation. And the door was shut. You understand? The door was shut. So when we go back to Isaiah, I just want to get to that particular precept there. All right? So when we go to Isaiah, and it says there, come my people, those are the elect, enter thou into thy chambers, which are the chariots, that the Lord's going to come with the angels, and shut thy doors. You understand? Isaiah is telling you, the doors are going to be shut to the 2/3, and shut thy doors about thee. The same thing that Matthew said here. Where was we? Sorry. Matthew says here, and while they went to buy, which are the 2/3, the bridegroom came, which was Yahushua, and they that were ready, those of us that were accepted as truth, went in with him up into the chariots, the hopeful elect. Right now, because of the hopeful elect, into the marriage is going to the chariots, and the door was shut. The door of the chariots was shut, people. Right? So Isaiah says it here, come my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as if it were for a little moment, until what? Until the indignation, which is the destruction, the nuclear destruction, be overpass. Until the indignation be overpass. It says, for what? For behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, he cometh out of his place, out of the heavens of heavens, to do what? To punish the inhabitants of the earth. For what? For their iniquity, for their wickedness. For those of you that believe in homosexuality, right? For those of you that trying to save Esau. For those of you that worshiping white Jesus. For those sexual deviants out there. For your iniquities. That the earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. So all of the blood that Esau and those other nations have dread on this earth, it's all going to be revealed. All going to be revealed. They're going to disclose the wickedness. And it's going to happen through the judgment. They're going to know, that's what they're going to know why they're getting that judgment. They shall no more cover her slain. They're going to no more be able to hide this truth that we have been teaching, and the lies that they've been teaching. So when it says here, verse 31, Matthew 24, verse 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the earth of heaven unto the other. And that's it right there in Isaiah 26 and 20, 26 and 21. And that's right there again in Matthew 25, 9, 10, 11 and 12, telling you that. It's the deliverance of the elect into the chariots that everyone keeps on going on like their UFOs, little green men. Well, they're going to see. They're going to see on that day of judgment when those missiles are flying, if it's little green men in those, what they call UFOs, or are they truly the Lord's chariots with the angels? It's going to be tall, dark-skinned men with afros. No Caucasians are coming out of those chariots. No pale-skinned, white-skinned men are coming. These are going to be dark-skinned, brown-skinned, different shades of brown with afros coming out, mate, with their big bushy beards coming to deliver the elect. Anyway, I know I might have went on a bit longer than I did, but the Spirit was working with me, and I don't really want to take this too far. But all I can say, I go back to what I said at the beginning. The events that you see going on between Turkey and Greece is what's going to lead the European Union to expel Turkey from NATO. And that is going to allow Turkey to now join forces with Gog and Magog, which are the Russians, alongside Persians, the Libyans, Ethiopians, and that whole band of army that's going to come up against Israel, NATO, America, and their allies in World War III. So watch that space, what's going on between Greece and Turkey, because things are truly unfolding as we speak, brothers and sisters. So, on that note, I pray this was an edifying lesson to all the brothers and sisters that tuned in live, and for those of you that may tune in later. As I always say to you, it's all about enduring this journey to the end, because the road to salvation is a narrow road. Narrow road. It's about navigating that narrow road through prayer, right, and repentance, right, and belief and faith. All right? We call ourselves the hopeful elect, because we pray, we make up the 144,000 and the 1/3 to be delivered out of the destruction that's coming. The second death that the Bible speaks of in the book of Revelations. So, I say, Kal, Halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakah, Kodesh, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Till we meet again, all praises.